Now that you understand how researchers conduct primary research studies, and then analyze primary research through secondary reviews and meta-analyses, let's explore the resources that can help you understand both. Tertiary sources. Tertiary sources summarize, consolidate, or simplify primary and secondary sources for quick reference. They take a broader overview approach, are usually easier to understand, and are written for a more general audience. These sources include encyclopedias, dictionaries, manuals, handbooks, wikis, and even academic blogs. These are especially helpful for understanding how psychology uses terms. For example, one term we've come across in the primary and secondary sources videos is emotion regulation. This term has a specific definition developed over years of study within the field of psychology that may not match what people who aren't regularly studying psychology might assume. Looking up the term in an encyclopedia or handbook related to psychology helps us better understand what emotion regulation means in the context of the articles. Here in the Encyclopedia of Classroom Management, we find that emotion regulation is the ability to change or maintain the experience or expression of emotions to attain a goal, whether in oneself or in others. And here in the Encyclopedia of Adolescence, it's defined as a set of processes that adolescents can use to recognize, monitor, evaluate, and modify emotional experiences. Reading further, we find an overview of how emotion regulation has been defined over time, along with the social aspect of emotion regulation, the challenges of developing emotion regulation as an adolescent, and how researchers have measured and evaluated strategies to help adolescents regulate their emotions. All of this background information could help us better understand the research studies, because the authors of those studies assume you as a reader already know this information. Another term we encountered in the primary sources video was anxious symptomology, which brings up several questions. 1. What are the symptoms of anxiety? And 2. When do symptoms of anxiety become a diagnosable disorder? Knowing the answers to these questions helps us understand the difference between the community and clinical programs we saw in the systematic review. The DSM-5, or Diagnostic and Statistical Manual 5th edition, would be a great place to find this information. The DSM-5 provides definitions and diagnostic criteria at a high level, consolidating information from multiple extensive literature reviews and debates within the field. Here it tells us that to be considered a disorder, someone must experience excessive worry for at least 6 months, find it difficult to control, have at least 3 of these 6 symptoms, or only 1 in children, and cause significant distress or impairment. So, while everyone may need help coping with anxiety and worry, and likely has symptoms at one time or another, it only becomes a disorder once these more life-impacting criteria are met. Tertiary sources may also be referred to as reference sources. They are called reference sources because you refer to them for specific information rather than reading them beginning to end. For example, we referred to only the section on generalized anxiety disorders diagnostic criteria rather than reading the entire chapter on anxiety disorders. Many library databases allow you to filter by publication type to focus on specific source categories. To find tertiary sources, try using the reference entries or overview filters. And just like with the secondary sources, tertiary sources take time to compile and consolidate, so while they may help with understanding terminology, it is important to keep the publication date in mind and find more up-to-date research for your project as well. Finding and utilizing tertiary sources is often key to understanding psychology research articles as a student, because you aren't yet familiar with all the specialized terminology used in the field. Carefully reading a few introductions to new terms in a dictionary or encyclopedia will provide the background information you need to understand the primary and secondary sources in psychology. Even after reading those, it may take a few read-throughs to fully comprehend the original research study or review. That's a normal part of the process as a student, so don't forget to include time for looking up and understanding terms when planning to complete your assignment. To summarize, in psychology, primary sources report original research studies or data. Secondary sources analyze or synthesize the primary research studies and provide the history of the research topic. And tertiary sources consolidate or simplify primary and secondary sources in language that is easier to understand. You'll likely need all 3 to complete a well-rounded research project. If you ever have questions about whether a source is acceptable for your specific assignment, be sure to ask your professor. And if you need help finding sources for your work, ask a librarian.